and move forward and introduce ourselves. My name, again, is Pete Breton. I am the Director of Customer Marketing and Product Marketing here at NinjaOne. And I've been, working on this backup product as well as other products here at Ninja for about 2 years, trying to make sure that the product that we bring to market is a great fit for you and for our partners, and that it meets today's modern workflows. I'm joined by Jason McMahon. He's our Director of Backup. And Jason, I'd love for you to give yourself a little introduction here.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I've been a part of Ninja's team for a little over 5 years. I was previously with eFolder/Axient and ran their Northeast division for backup for 4 or 5 years previous to that. The reason I've been a part of this team now for about 8 or 9 years, though, as I was part of the AnchorWorks team previously. So I'm extremely excited to show you all the product today and walk you through the backup tool. Peter's going to spend a little bit of time introducing to you all why we are doing this. But I think, as you'll see, we'll have other webinars coming out, ticketing, documentation, not only the backup tool here. We're extremely excited with all the development cycles that we have in front of us. And my team's ready for you all to set up calls and get in front of the product.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Yeah, just as a recap, I do have about 10, 15 minutes of content. We won't drown you in slides. We have plenty of time for you to check out the product, but I really want to talk to you guys today about the major trends in how we work and why it's important to reconsider what you're doing from a backup perspective. Ultimately, we think a cloud-first backup solution is going to be the right fit for most businesses. And I want to talk about how that fits into how the world is changing and how the way we're working is changing. So this is probably a familiar story. You've probably heard it throughout the past 2 years, that the way we work is changing. And while this has been accelerated by the pandemic, people's shift from an office-centric work model to a hybrid and remote work model, it's not caused by the pandemic. Yes, it's accelerated by it, but it also won't revert when the pandemic ends. Some people may go back to the office full time, but ultimately the preponderance, at least of US workers, are in this hybrid and remote model. And in more progressive countries that are doing firmer lockdowns, you're seeing close to 100% work from home. So this is this model is the US, but it's more prevalent elsewhere. And if you look at this data and the people who are working from home, working from co-working spaces, working hybrid models, again, about 2/3 of them have said they would rather look for a new job than go back into the office full time. And so what you're going to see is post-pandemic, and we're not out of the woods yet, right? So for the foreseeable future and then post-pandemic, we expect that people will continue to have this hybrid and remote work model. This change isn't just in enterprises or small businesses or the mid-market. This is across businesses, across business types, and across sizes. And so it impacts almost every organization that's out there today. And as IT people, because how people work is changing, you need to consider that, be aware of it, and fold that into your plans and your strategic planning, both from a tool set and from a process perspective. A lot of what we're going to talk about today is actually super relevant across IT management. Obviously, we're talking about it in the context of backup, but a lot of what I'm going to be talking about can roll out across your entire IT management strategy and concept, and impacts how you do IT management. So yes, we're focusing on backup, but keep all of that in mind as well. So what does the shifting workplace mean for you as IT leaders, as an IT team, as an organization that manages IT? There are quite a few things. The first is that there are fewer endpoints physically in the office. And this is really clear, right? If someone's not working in the office, there are fewer endpoints there. But that has an impact on how you manage those endpoints. In particular, lots of companies use a network-based management tool, or a set of management tools, or backup tools in particular, to deliver IT services. So the problem with that is the reliability of the company network as a ring fence for your security, for your data protection, for your IT management processes is decreasing. Now, you can enforce some of that with a VPN and making everyone in your company be on a VPN, so you're on the company network, and you can leverage that solution. for your backup and for your IT management, but there are lots of implications for that, right? There's a cost implication, there's a productivity implication. For backups in particular, there's a stability, reliability, and completion rate implication of forcing everyone to be on the VPN. And for many organizations, and again, this is organizations large and small that are going full remote for an organization. You don't have an on-premises infrastructure because you don't have an office anymore. And so this may not even be, using that company network and on-premises solution may not even be an option anymore or going forward. A lot of organizations need to prepare for that as well, right? Because just because your organization hasn't made the decision to get rid of a centralized office doesn't mean they won't. They won't see the $1 million they spend in rent across all of their properties and decide we're going full remote for that massive cost savings. It's happening, and we're seeing it happening across industries and business sizes. And all of that, this remote first model means that the way you deliver IT services is changing. Whether you're, a managed service provider or an internal IT team, the way you deliver services has to change because the transparency you have into endpoints, the amount of access you have, the security challenges, the speed of execution, all of those things are changing in this more remote and hybrid delivery model. So ultimately, Ninja believes, and the bet we have made in the market is that you need cloud first backup. Not only that, actually, we have made the bet that you need cloud first IT management, and backup is a big part of that. And again, yes, we're talking about backup, but a lot of what I'm about to talk about here also directly speaks to the difference between a cloud first any cloud first IT management solution and an on-premises solution or a legacy solution. So yes, again, I'm talking backup, but keep this in mind for really any IT management solution. There are three big ways that we're seeing people work in this remote and hybrid world. The first is distributed offices, whether that be co-working spaces or shared offices, or even just multiple locations, spread out across the country, across the world, whatever it may be. In those distributed offices, if you want to use an on-premises solution, you're going to have a costly and complex architecture with, there's going to be a centralized data storage server. You're going to have gateways between locations. You're going to have multiple storage points, at least one at each location, more than likely. And as you grow and become more complex in scale, the complexity and cost of that architecture also grows, right? And it's not just the upfront cost of the hardware and setting this up. There's also upgrading that hardware over time as you grow. There's the maintenance of that and replacing hardware and ensuring those servers are up to date. And then there's the labor costs. Like, yes, you have to keep all these devices up to date, working, connected, et cetera. But there's also, more time at 2 o'clock in the morning going into the office because something broke. And from a backup perspective, if your endpoints can't reach their backup servers when they're doing their backups, that's a huge issue, a P1 ticket that you go in and you fix that server. And that's a lot of time for technicians to be in the office doing overnights, right? And because you've set this up and you're entirely responsible for it, those multiple points of failure really stick out. Then you have your field and hybrid employees. If you're using an on-premises solution, you have all of that cost and complexity, but then you have a VPN to get on the network to get those backups to your on-premises backup servers. You have the cost of that, the intermittent access. You have the decreased reliability of your backups because you're probably not on that network all the time. Maybe you're on a client site and they don't allow VPN access back to your own network. You're just not going to be having that reliability that you need for your backup solutions. And then finally, your fully remote employees. These employees will probably never be on site. Those devices may never come into an office. And this isn't a backup only question here, but if you're doing backup on those workstations, those end user fully remote workstations, if something goes wrong and you don't have this cloud first approach to IT, it's going to be a lot more difficult to get on there and remediate that issue and make sure that you can get those backups back up and running again. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you all the reasons we think Ninja is the best solution. That's Jason's job. But I am going to say, in general, a cloud-first solution is going to solve all of those problems for these modern distributed and remote workforces. You don't have to, there's no infrastructure that you have to set up to use this. It's any device that's connected to the internet can be backed up. Its scalability is limited only by our architecture and our ability to back up. And no matter how big you are, we're backing up endpoints for thousands of customers. We have that scale in place, as would any cloud first backup solution. The amount of implementation and setup and the cost and complexity of that is going to be much lower. The ongoing labor associated with making sure this work is much lower. And overall, it's a much lower risk option. Now, one thing that I think is great about Ninja is that while we are cloud first, we do have that local backup option. If you want to store something locally, if you want to have those really fast restore times for a large server and then back up to the cloud, we allow that option. We allow backup only, although we do recommend a hybrid local first and then cloud if you're going to do local. If you wanted to do local only and save that cloud storage cost, you can even do that. Not only is a Ninja a better a cloud first solution better for in-office people, these distributed offices, that difference is even more so for those field, hybrid, and fully remote employees, because they never have to connect to your network. They never have to be on site to get those backups, and they can actually transition between. A field employee can be in the office one day, on the client site another, and working from home, and they see no difference in their backup and reliability. They're going to have those regular backups, and it's just as easy to restore. So you don't have any of that weirdness between moving between models. Now, while we believe cloud first backup is right, there are lots of cloud first backup solutions out there. What we want to talk about next is the flexibility of those solutions. So, for example, a lot of solutions force you to do image only backups, and it's our stance at Ninja that while there are reasons to do image only backups for some end user workstations and laptops, like if our CEO Sal wants an image based backup because he has this highly configured machine and we need to spin it up really quick and get it back on a laptop for him, that's great. That makes sense for some VIP clients. But for a lot of your end users, a file and folder backup solution makes a lot more sense. This is actually my computer, the file system on my computer. And what you can see here is that the business data on here, the files that I've generated, the sum total of my work as an employee at Ninja, it's about 3 gigabytes of data, which may seem like a little bit, and now it's a little embarrassing to me, but I can back that up, or I can back up a full image, right? And if I'm going direct to cloud because I'm a fully remote employee, the difference here is between 68 gigabytes to the cloud after compression versus 2. And if you're talking about storage costs here, that can be $2+ a month difference in storage costs per endpoint per month. Not only that, this is the initial backup. This is just the first backup that I did on my endpoint. That incremental storage size of that image is going to grow faster than the file and folder, right? So over time, that gap between a file and folder backup and an image backup is going to increase, and your cost per endpoint is going to increase faster for that image backup. Now, that being said, you also want to be able to do image. There are lots of workflows that make sense for an image backup. For example, an on-premises server. In that case, the critical business data, there's no question that that's really important to back up, but it's the configuration and the application setup and having everything just right so it works exactly for the purpose that you want. That's really hard to replicate, and you'll probably won't get right the first time. That's when you want an image backup, right? And so you need a solution that does both. You need something that works for your workstations. You need something that works for your servers and has different backup mechanisms that you can apply to the right workflows. Now, you can take our solution and do file and folder backup for a server if you want to, and image on all of your workstations. That's fine. I don't necessarily know that always makes sense for everybody, but the point is you want the flexibility to apply the technologies that make the most sense and have the best return on investment for your backup investment for each workflow. That's the critical part of a backup and what you need to be considering. Again, it's not just image versus file and folder. It's not just cloud versus on-premises. It's overall flexibility that's going to make a solution best for modern workflows. So what you want to consider is, does your solution give you the ability to back up exactly what you want and decide how you're backing it up and where you're backing it up to, when you're backing it up, what's the frequency, how long you're keeping that data. That's one that a lot of solutions really tie down for you, and how you store your data. Ninja gives you flexibility and control over all of these, like pretty much perfect flexibility in all of them. So, we give you solutions for servers, workstations, and laptops. We allow you to decide, do you want to back up just docx files? You can do that. If you want to back up just your documents, you can do that. If you want to back up just your exe files, you can do that. Your C drive, everything, your entire, the entire device image, we give you perfect flexibility on what you're backing up. Not only that, we are giving you local only, cloud only, or hybrid backup options. The ability to set any kind of frequency that you want on your backups, from every hour to every month, anywhere in between. You could pick the third Friday of every month if you want to. Whatever you want to do, that flexibility exists. The big one here, though, that I see really restricted across a lot of solutions is the retention options. How long you're keeping your data. There are a lot of solutions out there that say, okay, hourly for the first day, then daily, then weekly, then monthly, and that's your only retention option. And if it doesn't work for you, too bad. You can keep your data for 2 years if you want to with Ninja, and you can back up hourly. There's a cost to that if you're going to the cloud, but you can do it. You have full control. And last but not least, we allow you to restore your data however you want. Now, we think Ninja is the best option for you, but this flexibility, if there's another solution out there that has this flexibility, that's what you want to be considering. Is when I come up against those edge cases and difficult situations, do I have the flexibility in the solution that I'm trying out or using to do the backup that best fits the workflow? So for those of you who haven't heard of Ninja before, this is our entire platform, if you will. We offer, not just backup. Backup's a core part of our offering, but endpoint monitoring and management, patching, documentation, software deployment, remote access, a full ticketing solution, our backup solution that we've just talked about, as well as endpoint security options. But backup, while it works best with all of those things, also is a fantastic standalone product that allows you to build a backup solution that meets all of your data protection needs. I'm going to wrap up and hand it over to Jason here, but my point with everything I've talked about is the way we're working is changing. We're moving to this more remote environment. And if you're using an on-premises solution and really looking at those remote and hybrid employees as a workaround, a group that you have to figure out how to make it work, it may be time to look at your backup solution and your data protection options and see if something's a better fit that was crafted for this environment. And I think we're good to hand it off to you, Jason.
Hey, thanks, Peter. And how does Ninja fit into that role, I think, is what we're going to cover today. But us being an agent-based software allows us to put our piece of software on any hardware out there, workstation or server, currently Windows for a backup provision, and be able to back up that machine, file, folder, or image quality. I'm going to go through the setup today with you, but understandably, of the 112 people here, I do see some partners in the list. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining tonight. But we will be covering at least the full deployment of the agent so that everyone can set up an organization, everyone can deploy Ninja, and then we're going to be able to go through the backup provisions. It won't take very long. As some of you are well aware, I'm on the sales team here. I am not an engineer. I think that's kind of the beauty of the product, is it is not overly complicated. One way that we look to address some of the issues in our tool space today is by creating this as a policy-based system. So we'll take you into our policy structures. I'll show you how we're going to be able to create a job for more than one machine or server at a time. But we do have the ability to create individual jobs per machine, per server. So you do have flexibility with the product. As Peter mentioned, I do think also in our position today is flexibility as well, right? Local storage, cloud storage. We want to be able to provide both for you. So we do have a local only license for you. We do have a cloud license. We have a bundle. So we have multiple different methods from a sales perspective so that we can address whatever needs you have and make sure that we're covering those needs with our agent. So without this, I'll kind of jump right into the tool here and we'll walk through deployment. Peter, let me know if you can see my screen okay here.
I can, yes.
Fantastic. So the first thing that I want to do is set up an organization. Now, one thing that's really helpful about Ninja is our documentation in the tool. So the first tab you'll have here is our Getting Started tab. Some of this is going to be a little redundant for some of you, but like I said, I'll jump through it pretty quickly for you. But essentially, the first thing you want to do is create your organization's name. And then we need to add devices. To add devices, we hit the plus sign in the top right, and we create an installation for our Windows-based machine here, and we push it to this organization that we've created. At that time, we also can allocate a sublocation if we choose to. If you guys want multiple methods of mass deployment, if you will, then we can right click on this link and we can copy this link and we could push it through a PDQ, a group policy, Active Directory. We are just an MSI, right? So it's an application push. So I'm sure most of you would have a method that we could easily get our agent in place. Once we're able to do that, then obviously we're able to get our backup tool in place. Right. So at that point, I think now all of you should have an understanding of at least how to deploy a device, how to create an organization. I will get into the organization settings for you as well as we set up the backup and cover some of that for you. But I did want to cover that for you. Now, once you get your devices into Ninja, this is what your dashboard's going to look like. Once you get all of your alert monitors set up, your infrastructure, network devices, workstation, server, Linux, Mac, virtual machine host, VM host, cloud monitors like websites or traffic. So there's a multitude of things that we can monitor inside of Ninja today. And obviously we're not going to cover that, but I do think in other webinars, ticketing, documentation, there's multiple products that we're looking to try to provide. Again, the goal being for single stack. These are products y'all are probably using today. We'll either have integrations for your current product or you can replace it with Ninja. So without that, Peter, I think I'll jump into showing everyone here the setup of the backup tool and where to configure that. Most of the configurable items in Ninja is going to be here under the configuration tab. So we'll click into configuration, come down to the integrations tab. And from here, we can actually turn on all the different product lines that we'll have access to inside of Ninja. Now, as I mentioned, documentation ticketing is here as well to turn on and trial during your production models, or if you're a partner of ours, you'll have access to those as well. The backup tool here you'll allocate, and I do understand, Peter, is that we have partners and prospects all over. We do have multiple different data centers and S3 data buckets that you'll be able to choose from based on where your instance is. Outside of maybe if there's any Canadian-based partners, that is the one that we're considering or still working on. But here in the United States, those are all set up. EU, Australia, from my understanding, those guys are ready to go.
APAC, oh yeah, you said Australia, sorry.
That's right. Yep, cool. So from here, once you get the tool turned on, now we'll deploy Ninja to our select devices. How we'll do that is we'll come straight into our organization that we created. From here, we have a couple options in where we want to start. We could deploy a network storage device, being a local storage, a USB path, a NAS device, Synology, whatever you want to use, and we will be pretty fluid with the hardware. We'll have specs that will come out with that a little later as well. We also could just deploy the agent, right? So at first, I'll just deploy the network device here. So how we'll set that up is we'll add a network storage, call it what it is, create the UNC path, and create the credentials that we have. I actually have already created one here for Peter for the team. I think I should be able to test this on our probe and we'll get a result here. Beautiful. Looks like we're all set up. We're ready to go. We have access to our NAS device now for the organization. Now all we need to do is turn this on for the organization to have access to it with the backup. So we'll click into the backup tool here. We'll turn on Ninja Data Protect. We will then either choose all devices or we can hand select devices here. So that obviously makes it easier. That way you're not being billed for every device inside the organization. We can pick and choose what devices are utilizing our backup tool. We do have the ability to throttle bandwidth settings. This is at the organizational level. The nice thing is though, we do have the ability to throttle at the device level. When we get into there, I'll show you that as well. At the bottom here is where we're actually just going to turn on that network storage piece or allocate it to this organization. And before I do get kind of questions on this, Peter, if we have multiple locations, part of an organization, we can set up these locations. And as you see here, all three of these locations are getting this particular network storage device. This one, I could set up a different network storage device for. right? Very easy to set up and allocate. Now the tool is on, we're live, but we need to schedule backup jobs so that we'll start running backup plans. To do that, we'll just jump into the tab right below it, right? So these guys are making it very easy on us. We just go from this tab to this tab to this tab, and now we can schedule our backup jobs. This is a policy section in Ninja. For some of y'all that are new, the one beautiful part of Ninja, I would say, is yes, we do have our backups here, which I'll cover, but all of our monitored attributes, our scheduled action scripts based on what we're monitoring for, our top and space Windows patching module, our antivirus integrations with Bitdefender and Webroot, our activity monitors, for our backup tool, Bitdefender, and other objects are all right in here that we can turn on. So as you can see here, I have my backup tool. So I can turn on the noise that I want it to create for us, Peter, so that my team's being notified as we're getting alerts from Ninja that backup jobs are failing or succeeding. These are creating alerts inside of our tool or our ticketing tool, as we mentioned. We do have SMS alerting, text message, we do have a mobile application, so there's a lot of ways that we'll send alerts into your system for you guys. From here, though, we need to schedule those backup jobs so that we can get completed jobs. As Peter and I have mentioned, so far to Ninja, we have two offerings. One is going to be a file folder, and one's going to be an image-based job. Now, the beautiful thing about our model is that it's a license-based model, Peter, so they can have as many jobs as they want running. So we could run a C drive, and then if you don't want to have to mount that entire C, and you just want executables and docs, we could run a file folder plan. To set these up, they're also very, very easy. Come into the settings and call the plan what it is. Schedule the job based on daily, weekly, month of the day, day of the month, or every so often. The every option is nice for open source files, so we could dictate exactly when we're monitoring, when we're backing these up. We do have powering options here as well, so that we can wake the machine up. We can run the plan immediately if missed. Great option if you have remote employees. As Peter mentioned, that's really what this tool also is meant for. Now, one issue that we've seen in the common in the space with some of the vendors out there is their revisions process is a net 30, 60, 90. Which means you're pretty much locked into whatever their retention policy is. Again, with us having the ability to schedule cloud, local, and or hybrid jobs, Peter, allows us now to be extremely flexible about how many copies we're having locally, how many we're having in the cloud, which will give us multiple revision points. Now, one really nice thing about this file folder as well is if we are managing any business professionals, and I do know probably looking at the partnership in here, there's a fair amount of those, we do have the ability to keep locally deleted files for perpetuity. So if we're managing doctors or legal, they accidentally remove a file from their machine, we can come in and save the day. I do think this will be a really cool feature that some of y'all might take advantage of. Keep in mind, obviously, that if we're keeping retention for in perpetuity, there is bloat on the back end for that. From here, though, we can also schedule different options of what we want to back up for files and folders. So we can pick common paths, user profiles, public profiles. I can dictate and include a certain path or a drive letter. I can push executables or files or folders. I can include them or exclude them. We have the ability also to set advanced filters in here. So these are common files that we see from bloat. If we want to maybe just back up or include executables or MP5 or whatever it might be, you'll just put your additionals in here. I can show you what this looks like in another policy that I have. We also have the ability to schedule then your image-based jobs, right? So that is name it, schedule it, right? Similar process, power options, revision settings. The difference here is that we're not selecting files and folders or common files and folders. We're driving specific drive letters and or the entire system. I would mention though, Peter, if y'all are backing up individual drive letters or custom images, make sure we're always grabbing the system. That's why you'll see this here. It does require the system to do an image recovery. So now we've got jobs scheduled. We've got the system set up. Where are these jobs running? How do we know that it's working, right? That's sometimes a big issue, I think, in the space as well, right? How much storage are they using from a local storage provision, from a cloud storage provision, right? So then I'll jump right into our report modules. That will be at the very top of your dashboard. So as I mentioned here, all of your alerts and organizations, but up top, we'll have full software inventory, patching information, maintenance models, alerts and active threats, anything that's waiting to be approved as far as a node or patching. And then you have our backup tab here. So I can see a full overview, Peter, of both cloud storage, local storage. Now, this is an overall view of my entire organizations and all of my organizations, but I can also click into Terrell and I could look at a backup overview of just his organization here. And now just their machines. The nice thing is it does give local and cloud storage. It gives both of those productions here, so you have that right at our fingertips. From here, I can even click on this machine, jump into the backup manager, and generate a restore. We also have the ability to restore, Peter, from the device. So you'll see the backup manager here, which will be at the device level with all of our nice other silent actions, pushing scripts, reboots, software updates, command line, remote access sessions, all the silent action tools we have for these engineers as well. So this is the ability to run silent actions in the background from Ninja, but we'll have the ability to manage our backup plan from here. So we actually can come right in here and generate a restore during this demo today. So these are all frequently changing files that I'm monitoring here for Dr. Walsh. I can process this if the file exists. I could restore it to the exact location for Dr. Walsh. I could also overwrite this. I do have the ability to override it if it exists on the folder as well. Then I also have the ability, Peter, as you see here, it's bringing up selective devices as a part of their organization. So if Dr. Walsh's machine goes away, we can very easily generate this file, folder, image in someone else's machine, giving access to them instantly. Let's show you what that looks like. So based on the size of your job, Peter, that will dictate how fast these will fire off. I think this is a couple, like 20, 30 megs. KBs, sorry. You see here, it's completed the job already. And now we'll get activity monitoring in here that will show us this as well for a reporting purpose.
Yeah, if it is a larger file, also, this isn't the only screen to see your progress. There is an active jobs tab so that you can see what your progress is.
Yeah, unfortunately, Peter, that job was so quick that there's nothing. Oh, there's something actually is running today. So you see this is a much larger data set. We're doing a full image here of this server. It's an 18 gig server set, and we're 63% of that process today. So we went through overview. We'll jump into history here. This will be an active history, and you'll see the job that I just actually currently ran, that file folder job and the timestamp of that. There was actually no change in that at the time, though. So you'll see there's no change in the size. We also have full usage reports. So this will give you all machines. Right now, Peter, I'm looking at a global perspective, and you'll see the organizations highlighted here. We can also view this from an organizational perspective, and I do have this as a report that I'll show everyone. But what I wanted to bring up is, commonly I'll ask, hey, how much storage are you using total? How much storage is a device using? And that's a question sometimes that are very difficult to answer for people. So I do think that having all of this right at our fingertip, being able to prioritize by how much total storage someone's using, local, cloud, this gives us nice search menu items right here inside of Ninja. Now, let me move this over. There we go. All right, can you see this, Peter? I pulled up this new report. Sweet. So this would be an example of a backup report for the jobs that have ran for this company for one day. But you obviously could do these daily, weekly, monthly. They are branded top right with your customer's logo, with your logo. You'll see here the action of the job that it completed. If there are any issues, it will give us warnings in the system. We'll have error reports for all those warnings. They'll give you usage reports. These are all cloud jobs for this particular organization, Peter, but if they were running local, we'd have that reporting module as well in here. Usage details. If you delete machines, it's going to have that storage still monitored for a particular period of time. Do you know the retention on that at Peters? I think it's 30 or 90 days.
I believe it's 30 days. Yeah.
Okay, 30 days. And that's when this data will reside in that system for them to be able to get access to. Beautiful. But just wanted to cover, dashboard, deployment, recoveries. I think at this point, you'll probably have enough to be able to run file folder based jobs. I do want to kick it over to Peter, though, to be able to do image-based jobs for us. He's also going to show us what it looks like from an end user. As you may be well aware, your customers and or your end users have the ability to do remote access with Ninja. There's no additional cost for that. It's built into the system. It's what you see here. So on the right, I'll let Peter go through it, but this is what the end user portal looks like. Thanks, Peter.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. One quick thing I probably shouldn't tell you, but I'm going to anyway. 5.3.1, one of our next very soon releases, will have a visual update for our reporting module. So it'll look a lot better. The report Jason showed, it's got a lot of information, but we're making it a little bit nicer looking for you. This is our end user self-service portal. This is access that you can give to business users or clients or whatever it may be, that you don't want them to have access to the Ninja console, but you do want them to have some level of access, whether it be to our ticketing platform here or to individual devices. You can go ahead and set them up and give them that access. They can see a brief status here. And then if you want to, you can give them terminal access if they're like a much more technical user, or if they need access to the device via remote access, you can give them access via Splashtop, RDP, or a TeamViewer. It's one click. They click and they'll have direct access and have full control over it. But they also can have access to the backup manager so that they can restore files. This does work only, I don't know if this will actually have any files in it. Here we go. They do have, the only access they have here is to download backed up files. So this file changes every day so that we can show you this. I'm going to go ahead here and click download, and I, as the end user, can go in and say, okay, yeah, I screwed this up on in November on the 23rd, hit download, and it's going to download that file for me. And I no longer have to submit a ticket. I can go and do all of that self-service for me. So that's end user restore. But next, let's jump into image restore. So I actually have to go and find a device that has an image backup on it. So 1 second, bear with me. I think this device has an image on it. Yep, we can see here that I'm doing image backup on this device. I can go here and generate an image authorization key. I know that was one of the questions I saw in Q&A or chat. We manage the encryption keys here and the restore keys here. So you can go ahead and hit generate and copy that. And I can then start doing my restores. Now, this is the image restore manager. This is what you use to restore images, as the name implies. So there are a couple of things I can do here. I can create bootable media. I can do a direct restore of an image. I can download an image for offline restore. And if I'm restoring to dissimilar hardware, I can go ahead and install drivers. Now, the first thing I would probably do here, especially if the endpoint I'm working on doesn't have internet access or something like that, I would download an image for offline restore. I'm going to need that authorization key, and I'm going to have to say where I want to download that to. Go ahead here. I hope this doesn't actually start. Yeah, it will start if I hit the next one. So I can choose which restore point I want to restore to. I choose one. It's going to give me an overview of what that looks like. I'm going to hit select, and it's going to start downloading it. The idea here is that I would then put that on a network share or an external hard drive and go on to the next step. This is just downloading the image. This won't actually do a restore. The next thing, if it's a bare metal restore, is I'm going to need bootable media to actually get into the device and launch the image restore manager. So I can do that here with get bootable media. I can do that as an ISO or a USB flash drive. I can inject drivers here as well. So I choose where my flash drive is, and it will create bootable media and put on the image restore manager and let me go forward. Now, once I've plugged in that bootable media, started the device, I can then go ahead and hit restore image. I have those two options: manually restore from offline image. That's that first step I did. Or if I don't need that offline image, if I want to just restore directly from the cloud, I can go ahead and do this, or from a local device. I hit restore, hit select, and I'm back in this screen again. I'm going to choose my restore point. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. I'm going to tell it where I want to restore it to. And as soon as I hit select, it's going to start doing that image restore. So if I did that right now, my computer would crash. So I'm not going to do it because I'm using it, right? As I said, again, we can install drivers as well. A couple interesting things, or things that I really like about our image restore manager, we do have direct access to the command line interface or terminal right here. I can access my networks from here as well if I need to get online to do that cloud restore. I can also go ahead here and look at my execution log in case something's going wrong. So we're giving you a couple extra tools to make restoring images a little bit easier here. I think that is the preponderance of what we wanted to cover, and we're at a really good time. So I'm actually going to switch over here. We're going to have plenty of time for questions, but I want to make sure that the person who gets their gift card, and then we can jump into Q&A. So Christine, if you could hop on, thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Hey everyone, I'm Christine, I'm marketing campaign coordinator here at NinjaOne. And I'm here to announce the $100 gift card winner. So drum roll, please. Daniel Diaz, congratulations. Be on the lookout for an email from me and we'll get that out to you. That's it for me, Pete.
Awesome. Congrats. Thanks, Christine.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And now we're going to jump into questions. There's a ton of them here. Carrie, I want to thank you for your 4,000 questions. There are a lot of really good ones here. Congratulations, Daniel. Sorry, Jason.
I can set up a one-on-one with Carrie.
Yeah, I would absolutely, Carrie, set up some time with Jason. Whether or not you're looking to buy right away, if you have a ton of questions, definitely set them up. I do want to answer a couple things that came up though. A big one that came up was Mac OS backup. Jason, can you talk just briefly about that?
Yeah, I think it's in our next backup deliverable. Not sure if it'll be the next release or the following release, but things are going well. It is in a beta state with some of the current partners, not available today in a prospect perspective, but is something that we are currently working on. I saw some other stuff in here that's roadmap objects, Pete, if you want me to address some of them. Backup as a hypervisor right now, currently, I'm not aware of development for that, but we do have the ability to back up at the VM level to address Saeed's question. I also saw Saeed to address your other question down here. Backing up from a NAS is currently not available, but I do know that is on the roadmap for later on this year as well. So we could back up from a workstation to a NAS, server to a NAS, but not from the NAS to us. To cover your questions there.
Hey, Jason, can I actually jump in there?
Yeah, please.
I have a different take on that a little bit.
Sure.
If you have a virtual machine and you put the Ninja agent on it, we can today back up that virtual machine from a file and folder and image perspective. We won't be able to virtualize that and spin it back up automatically. You'd have to spin up your own VM and then restore the image. So we are well aware that there are solutions out there that with one click you can create a virtual machine and spin up that image. That's not what we have yet. That is in the roadmap. But you can back up VMs not from the host, but from the guest itself. And backup from host is planned in the roadmap.
Awesome. Encryption modules are standard AES 256 at rest in motion, which I see several questions for. See anything else that you want to address here, Peter, that you see?
Yeah, someone asked about ransomware protection and that sort of thing, and the encryption questions kind of speak to it. Ninja will, we're encrypting the backups. If you put it on the NAS drive, it is as vulnerable as that NAS drive is. But once it's in the cloud, it's unreachable. So if a file's been crypto locked and you back it up to the cloud, obviously we're not going to remediate that for you. But as long as you have a clean backup in the cloud and your retention policies are set that it stays long enough, you can always go back to that restore point and you'll have a clean restore. No one can get to those files in the cloud. That's part of the reason we manage your backup and we don't allow you to back up to any storage that you want. No one has access to your backups once they get to the cloud, period. The only thing you can do is download them and restore them. So those are safe once they're in the cloud.
I've had a couple questions here asking if you could schedule multiple jobs or backup plans via like one image for a PC as a snapshot, Peter, and then maybe multiple file and folders. And yes, that is exactly why we built this system the way we did, so that you could schedule multiple jobs. And as you saw from the scheduling cadence, you have a lot of flexibility with how often they're being scheduled as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot here about talking about like the technology in a quick overview. So a couple things to talk about. This is our own proprietary solution. We built it. We own it. It's entirely ours. We own it from end to end, from the backup software to sending the backup to the cloud, and then we manage your cloud storage. It is AWS S3. So it's a package solution. There is no bring your own storage option here. There was also a question about where you can use it. And as Jason had said, we have multiple US buckets. We have multiple buckets in EMEA, and we do have buckets in APAC as well. So, and then last one that I think I saw in here was the backup technology itself is incremental block level backup. So we are making sure that we're only backing up the changes within the files and images themselves. So we're saving you a lot of storage space there as well. I see lots of question about SaaS backup. This is one that, now that we've had backup in the market for, our file and folder solution for about a year, and images recently fully in the market, we're starting to hear SaaS backup more and more often. It is not planned on the roadmap. It's something that now that we're actively selling backup very effectively, that we're hearing more and more. I personally think it's something that we will probably end up doing at some point, but you should not buy Ninja Data Protection for SaaS backup. That's something that I think we're interested in. I think we want to explore, but we have no definitive plans around, and no active development on. So Carrie, your question, this is a direct to cloud solution, but only to our cloud. Not exactly. We have cloud only, we have local only, and we have local to cloud. So if you wanted to, you could do local only backup. Otherwise, you are correct. You have to use our cloud storage.
We appreciate all the questions, Carrie. And like I said, for everyone that's on here, the SDRs, the account managers, the account executives have been educated on the platform. Backup is on inside of all of the tools today for y'all, and we welcome conversations on this. And as a development organization in this space, we understand that this product today is not going to cover all of y'all's requirements from a backup perspective. But I guess that's the beautiful thing about Ninja. I bet on us being able to answer those questions all as yeses at a very short period of time. And as we are very public about our roadmap, you do have the ability to go and see what we're building and where it is along the roadmap. And as we have one-on-ones, we'll address a lot of that with you as well.
Awesome. I see a question here from Eric. From Andrew. At a div level, at your company level, you can choose which bucket you are directing backups to. So let's say you're in EMEA or let's say you're in Germany and you have clients in the UK. You can't have some files being backed up to a German bucket and some to a UK bucket. You would have to choose a bucket for your, the country you manage in or your endpoints are in. But yes, you get to choose which AWS bucket of the ones that we offer that you back up to. So you don't have to back up to the US, you don't have to back up to Germany, you can back up to Australia if you want to. All right. Lots of other things in here that I want to make sure we get to. All right. Eric asks, once installed, example policy to store images and files, then the endpoint is changed to backup files only. What happens to the old images? So if you delete a backup plan, that data will age out according to your retention plan. So if you had images retained for 30 days, at 30 days, that image will, all of your images will have aged out and you won't be paying for that storage anymore. We have the same backup storage costs regardless of region, James. So whether you're backing up to Australia or US East, your storage cost is going to be the same. There were a couple questions about pricing here. I'll give you a quick overview, but your actual pricing, you have to go and talk to your AM or your sales rep or whatever it may be. We have a couple different models. We have a license and then pooled storage option. And then we have a bundled option, which is a license plus storage together. We have different pricing for servers and workstations. And then there are volume discounts. So it's really going to depend on what you want to use. And, you know, are you buying the entire Ninja package or are you just buying, you know, pieces of it, that sort of thing. So definitely a question to engage one-on-one with.
Great questions.
Ryan asked if you can manually delete a backup. Jason, can you answer that?
No, not correctly. I know you can, but like it's being held for that 30-day period afterwards. So to fully delete it, I guess the answer is no, right? There's going to be a repository savings of that 30-day period after it is removed.
Yeah, one of the things we know that our partners, they want a lot of safeguards in place to make sure that if something happens, that all the data isn't suddenly gone, right? Once you delete data, you're not going to see it in the Ninja platform anymore, but it actually does take some time to age out. So you'll delete it, you're no longer paying for it, but someone can't come in and delete all of your backup data and then you're left high and dry. So we do have some safeguards in place, but that delete is a soft delete for a short period of time.
Yeah, so it looks like Ryan's scenario is a little unique where he canceled his job midway through. So I just need to get a better answer for him on what would happen with that. Looks like he canceled his job midway through it and it didn't complete, so he wants to remove it. I know support could probably do that, but let me get a better answer for you.
Yeah, Ryan, I would submit a support ticket. All right. Oh yeah, one of our account managers, Andy, is going to have your account manager reach out to you, Ryan, and start a ticket.
Thanks, Andy.
All right. Can we talk about recovery and ransomware? So I can talk about it kind of generally. You know, in a scenario where an end user device, let's say, is crypto locked, like let's say my laptop gets locked. If I have an image backup in the cloud, let's pretend this device is dead, right? You give me a new laptop, I can do a bare metal restore and put everything from my computer that was on it when the last backup was taken back on this device. Now, let's say, you know, on Monday, I have a clean laptop, and then on Tuesday it's locked, and there's a backup on Monday and a backup on Tuesday. If I restore that Tuesday backup, it's also going to be locked, right? I have to go back to Monday and do that restore to get out of to get my computer back, to get my files back, because those ones aren't locked. So again, we're not remediating the lock, but we're giving you your files back to the time prior to when that ransomware attack hit. Someone asked, can we be clear about storage? Our storage is Amazon S3 storage.
Buckets are generally just going to be based on what's available in your instance with Ninja. If you're EMEA or Ocean Pacific or on the West Coast here, you will have options in the USA, though. I think there's other buckets that you can choose from, but they'll generally be geographically located to you based on your instance.
Okay. So Syed asked, with Defender endpoint security, if we are hit by ransomware, then does backup stop till the machine is clear? There is no tie-in between Defender and Ninja data protection. So Defender isn't going to stop us from continuously backing up files, but you'll know when your device was hit and you can just restore to the point previous to that. That's the idea, right? That's why you don't want to have a retention policy of 1 day, right? Like a 30-day, 60-day retention policy is really smart, because hopefully the person on the endpoint will have noticed that the device was locked or attacked or infected before your retention policy ends.
And all of our versioning, Peter, is time-stamped and dated by the date and the time the backup job was successfully completed. So they should be able to have that specific time to be able to do that.
Yep. Carrie, I see your question and I know it's an important one. So I am going to throw this out there. Carrie is asking, do we have plans for third-party cloud storage anytime at all? I think the short answer is no. We are giving you in our platform full visibility. If a backup fails, you have an alert in the platform. You have a ticket that can be created automatically. You can get a lot of contextual information about the endpoint in your ticket because it's an automated process. We have full visibility from backup to storage and have full control over that. And it's the most secure way to do backup. Not only is it the most secure, it's the most efficient, right? If we allow you to plug in a third-party storage and that storage fails, our software is working fine, but the storage fails, their API changes, there's a connection issue, there's an outage on them, we get yelled at, we get opt-outs, we get people who trash talk our platform and our solution. And so we made the decision that we're going to have a packaged solution with built-in storage as the only option. And it's the best storage that, as far as we know, exists. We're backing up with redundancy. It's fast. We're only limited by your internet connection from a download perspective. And so that's the decision we made. It's not right for everybody. I will say though, that we're not really making money on Amazon storage. We're passing on to it.
Storage is very, very friendly. I think you'll see that when you talk to your account manager and your account executive. We're a half or third of SolarWinds and a lot of the competitors out there in the backup tool space that this program will compete with from a functionality standpoint. From the cloud storage standpoint, we'll be about a half or third of their costs. I do think you'll see a nice price point there.
And Carrie, I know you said no salespeople. Jason, while he is a consummate salesperson, reach out to him. He'll have a conversation with you. He's technical enough. He knows backup really well.
I'll bring it.
Hopefully he can assuage your fears. If not, there are people that roll your own storage with your own backup solution and own backup software. It makes sense. And that's an option. I do want to wrap up. I think that's a good place to wrap up. I want to thank everyone for coming and joining us and enjoying the show. Hopefully everyone got some information out of it that was helpful. If you do have questions, Jason and you can reach out to any of us personally. Reach out to your account managers if you're a current partner. And give it a try. Anyone who's a partner today can turn on Ninja Data Protection today and give it a try. So feel free to do so. Thanks, everybody.
Harry, thank you for all the participation and the both of y'all and everyone else here today. We really appreciate all the effort. We look forward to the growth of this product and all of y'all pushing us. That's what makes this thing awesome and what we're excited about. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks, Peter.